Hello, Angelus Demonus reporting in. I'd like to share with you a small video series preparing you for the third installment of Deep Dungeon, Eureka Orthos. While the topics discussed may lean heavily on soloing Eureka Orthos, some info may carry over to party runs as well. In this video, I'll talk about trying to compete for the world race for clearing the new Deep Dungeon, Eureka Orthos. If you're planning to world race in a light party, it might be a good idea to go into Heaven on High, reduce your armor to 0, and see how you do to climb. You'll need to plan out with your team if you will be able to complete Eureka Orthos with a really low armor, or if you'll take some time to farm up a little bit of Aether Pool before you take a serious attempt. When you're racing against other teams, you may need to clear on your first real run to get to the end before anyone else, so the balance of risk-reward, or in other words, running with more or less Aether Pool, may be the crucial difference of you being world first. My recommendation is to aim for maybe 30 or 40 armor if you are brand new to Deep Dungeon racing and maybe 2 jobs that can revive. I'd recommend bringing some Phoenix Downs just in case you lose your Razors and or healers unexpectedly. Team composition is for sure an interesting discussion. I might suggest a traditional tank healer 2 DPS setup, but amongst anything else, you probably would want a healer to be able to raise and a tank to hold enemies from deleting your DPS at bare minimal. Especially if you are going to try to climb with low Aether Pool, a healer and a tank might be a very good idea as damage taking will be much higher and enemies will take longer to kill. Keep in mind, what the enemies and bosses will do will be unknown to all of us, so having a couple safety nets will be a great idea to keep the run alive. If you're planning to world race solo, there are a number of ways to plan for your progression. First, I'll discuss what I plan to do. I am going to take 3 of my awesome Deep Dungeon friends and we will rush to floor 30, then repeat floor 21 to 30 until I'm around 60 or 70 armor, then start my solo journey from floor 1. It's worth noting you'll more than likely need to start at floor 1 for the solo title, as was the case for the previous 2 Deep Dungeons. What is my logic? I'll first say I don't think this is the best way possible for trying to be the first person to get the title. I'm someone who wants to learn and train in the environment I am working towards, so going in with friends, even a duo, will not accurately replicate the nerves and the anxiety I will feel since you have the insurance of other gamers to save the run. Also, I will purposely start at 60-70 armor and not capped at 99.99 because I know I will be leveling my Aether Pool as we climb even from floor 1. I am almost certain I'll be capped at 99.99 when it really matters. Unless I go deep on my very first run, then it might get a little interesting. There are many other strategies that the Deep Dungeon community have proposed or will execute on their end. Some gamers will climb in with a light party to see and learn the enemies and bosses first before diving in solo. I know some will go in as a duo to replicate a solo-esque vibe before they try to solo. Others might go in with 4 gamers and just spread out and try to solo rooms on their own with that safety net that someone can raise if and when you eat some mysterious AoE. Whatever you think is best, run with it, because I will tell you one important thing. Based on the other 2 previous Deep Dungeons, there really isn't a solidified go-to strategy to get that title first, other than get in there and grind. Palace of the Dead took nearly 2 years to clear, and Heaven on High took 2 weeks. I, for one, will be interested to see who the winner will be and what they did to prepare, because that may set the precedence for others to follow when we get another Deep Dungeon in the future. One awesome thing that we should see for Eureka Orthos is an official scoreboard on Lodestone. For Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High, there are leaderboards that update every day with people who do Deep Dungeon. You don't have to do anything special in-game or outside the game other than just do the content and see a scorecard that the game generates itself. You'll get the scorecard on 3 conditions, assuming it's the same as Heaven on High. 1 on floor 30, 1 if you die, and 1 if you clear the final floor. Worth noting, if you disconnect, your score does not get recorded, so hopefully that doesn't happen to you. What do you think? Let me know your ideas and thoughts in the comments below. Part of me is interested in how a discussion like this will age after a year or so even if your idea sounds ridiculous, you might end up being the smartest gamer in the comments. Stay tuned for more videos in the series, as well as when I dive into Eureka Orthos when it goes live. Solo, of course. Have a good one.